There is a very special town in the heart of Peru called Ollantaytambo. It dates back to Inca times and earlier, and it's still occupied today by the Quechua natives, part of a cultural group found throughout many South American countries. These people are the descendants of the Inca and still live a somewhat traditional life based on farming, and now tourism. It's become a very popular destination for visitors. Commonly called Ollanta, this village is like a living museum and a wonderful place to visit. The town is famous for the massive prehistoric stone terraces rising up the hillside and the Inca temple on top. It was the site of the final decisive battle between the Spanish conquistadors and the Inca in 1537. We'll climb up it and have a closer look later in the program. Ollantaytambo is located about midway between Cusco and Machu Picchu in the Urubamba Valley in the highlands of Peru. That makes it a convenient place to stop for a few hours on your way from Cusco to Machu Picchu. Or you could spend the night in Ollanta in a small hotel. You can travel from Cusco to Ollanta by train, but in our case we came by bus through the highlands of the Altiplano. Beautiful scenery along the way, passing some villages and very high altitude farmland with the Andes Mountains in the background. The Altiplano of Peru's highlands reaches as much as 12,500 feet high, and there are villages scattered through the area. They're farming at some of the highest farmlands in the world, growing mostly potatoes up here, some maize, some wheat, passing lakes and other scenic landscapes as we go, watching people doing some farming and getting some lovely pictures of this beautiful scenery. The bus ride from Cusco was very scenic and just takes about 1 hour, arriving in the village of Ollanta, greeted by friendly vendors we'll come back to a little later for some shopping. We are touring the village with our guide Elga, who took us on a walk and explained some history. Now the town has regular plumbing and running water inside the houses, and they still use the water channels for irrigating the farmlands all around it. The residents are living in stone houses, some of which date back to the Inca days. A few of the homes welcome visitors, so you can go inside and have a look around. Typical of the area, many of the houses have an open courtyard behind the protecting wall. Inside we have a glimpse at some traditional cooking, and you'll be surprised to see a bunch of guinea pigs running around on the dirt floor. They're raising them in the kitchen because eventually they are going to be a meal. The cuy, or the guinea pig, is one of the national dishes of Peru. They feed them with grass cuttings from the farms that they tend in the areas all around the village. And there's even a young mama nursing her brood here. You can see this is quite the farm right in the kitchen. There's also cats with their kittens. It's really a special treat to walk inside one of the locals' houses like this. It's much more interesting than just simply walking past it on the outside down one of those stone lanes. And our guide Elga tells us about various items inside the house.
The
The way local farmers traditionally plow the field is with the foot plow, an ancient implement that requires a lot of hard work, mostly for growing the traditional crops of potatoes and maize. They have a few little objects for sale. You could pick up a wooden flute, a woolen hat, small dolls. All of these are handmade in Peru, and locally you could buy some of them in stores, but much nicer to purchase directly here in the home. A favorite local drink is chicha. It's a kind of beer made from corn and very tasty. You'll get a little buzz, and they make it right here in the chicheria. And you'll have a chance to chat with the kids. They're always eager to have their photograph taken in return for a small tip. A nice photo with the kids, and you'd enjoy that as well. And then, surprisingly, the modern age shows up in the midst of these ancient structures. It's kids in an internet game room having fun. Continuing with our guide, who pointed out some impressive stone structures on the hillside. It's a large complex built by the Inca that was a granary back in the ancient days. It was a place to store food, especially potatoes, and because of the way it was constructed, the potatoes were nicely preserved by the wind blowing through. It was cool and breezy, which made it almost like a freeze-dried storage area. Several structures nearby were for storing other items such as textiles and weapons. After visiting this fascinating little village, you'll want to be sure to walk over to the massive terraced hillside, a prehistoric structure that was built even before the time of the Inca, and then later during the Inca time, more structures were added using that amazing cut stone technique of the Inca, where the stones fit perfectly together, and they created a temple to the sun up on top. And this climb is especially worthwhile because the stonework that we're seeing here at this Ollantaytambo ceremonial area gets better and better as you climb to the top. The stones get larger and more beautifully cut and more perfectly fit together. And you can stop and rest along the way if you're having any difficulty climbing. There's no rush, so you might as well take a hike and enjoy the sight to the utmost. It's called a fortress because during the Spanish conquest in 1537, the last Inca king had a battle with the Spanish soldiers right here. This final leader was Manco Inca. He won the battle with the Spanish, but he knew the Spanish would keep attacking with more powerful weapons, and so he retreated further into the jungles to Vilcabamba, reputedly the last refuge of the Inca. An upper road connects two sections. This very impressive historic site was not constructed originally as a fortress. It was a terraced hillside that was built to shore up the hill so it wouldn't fall down on the village, and also for growing crops as agricultural terraces. These were carefully constructed with different layers of soil brought in, as our guide explains.
An underneath layer, and these layers are mainly big rocks. The second layer has gravel. The third layer is sand. The last layer where we are is soil, dirt. But you imagine the labor to build the wall, then to fill, to bring sand, because sand they should bring or from the river banks or if not from the Pacific Ocean, and dirt, soil.
These terraces were quite practical, building farmland on a steep hillside. And then it gradually evolved to take on more meaning. It became an important spiritual place, with the Incas coming in and building their temple to the sun on top. And so it was a very sacred area where the very finest of all the crops were offered to the gods. Not a fortress at all. This climb to the top is a physical challenge, no doubt, but it's one of those things when you're traveling that you just have to dig in and do it, because the effort is definitely worthwhile when you reach that top and gain the reward of seeing the beautiful Temple of the Sun. There are 6 huge rectangular stone blocks making up the main part of the temple. The largest of the monoliths is over 4 meters high and 2 meters wide, located at about the highest area of the entire place. We can see the excellent quality stonework in these masterpieces of Inca engineering, carved in dense stone, brought here from miles away, with numerous pieces left unfinished, as our guide explains about some of the finer details.
This doorway was in progress, and it's really interesting to show you because you can see how they work at the angles, the shape, trapezoid doorway. You can see the indentations to work, and you can see the accurate interlocking. Engineers and architects consider these were handles. There is an indentation on this. Also, they could set some kind of crowbars or hard sticks to cling in order to work or to get the accurate angles to fit.
It's a lot easier walking down these steps, but in hindsight, the climb up was well worth it. And then, of course, there are some more markets at the bottom of the hill. You've got the village itself, and we make our way through the various stands. There's more temptations, postcards, jewelry, sweaters, very friendly local vendors. These folks are really sweet, so you'll definitely want to buy something from them. The things they're selling are quite attractive and not expensive. So by all means, take some time to stop at the marketplace at the foot of the hill. It's a much more authentic and satisfying experience rather than going into a store in a mall in a big city. Here you're dealing directly with people and their products, part of a family network of making, distributing, and selling. These are very skilled salespeople who are going to convince you to purchase something, and later you'll be very glad that you did, helping the local economy while bringing home some memorable items. We have seen a lot in our visit to Ollanta. Now it's time to move along, but the shopping's not over yet. There are some merchants along the roadway, so we stop and see what we can buy from them. It's another chance to buy some homemade items from the people who actually made them. After visiting all these wonderful sites, we continue in Urubamba Valley to spend the night at the Hotel Posada del Inca. We arrive in the evening. It's a lovely spot. It's a former monastery for nuns. They have some original cloisters still here on the property. And there's a chapel. It seems like a small village the way it's laid out. In the morning, they put on a wonderful breakfast. You can get eggs cooked to order, fruits, coffee, rolls, breads, cereals, and those customized omelets. Fortified with this fabulous breakfast, we're beginning our day's journey. We're going to Machu Picchu today. And you can look for that program in our collection, where we share a very detailed look at this fabulous site. We frequently upload new movies, so please subscribe to our channel and click that little alarm bell so you'll be notified. And if you enjoyed the movie, how about a thumbs up? And we always welcome comments down below. Or if you have questions about the destination, make note and we'll answer them. Thanks for watching.